Hello, everyone. So today we will be discussing chapter 2, and we'll be covering ethics. Ethics. I'm going to share my screen. Ethics. What is ethics? What is ethics? Anyone? No, I'm only kidding. So there's a little exercise I want you to think about. I'm going to bring up a book. You can see my screen. Hopefully you can. So you bring up the book. All right. Sorry. Ethics. So when you think about ethics, most times you think about the study of morality and the moral choices that we all have to make in our lives. Your morals, what you value, things you value. That's what we think about, consider when it comes to ethics. But if you see chapter 2, it says every day we make many ethical decisions, although most are so minor that we do not even view them as such. When you drive your car, do you knowingly violate the posted speed limit? Don't answer that. When you unload the supermarket cart at your car, do you leave it in the middle of the parking lot, or do you spend the extra time to return it to the cart corral? Let's go down some. As a cashier, you could read these on your own. A cashier gives you too much change for a purchase. Do you correct the cashier? Right? These are all things, these are all ethical or moral. These are all things that causes us to make a decision based on our morals. Ethics, right? In engineering, there is a code of ethics. There's a code of ethics. But this exercise makes you think, are you doing the right thing for the most part? Are you doing the right thing? But in engineering has a code of ethics that isn't based on our values. Engineering has a code of ethics that isn't based on, our morals. No, rather, in engineering, we have a code of ethics that is based on a group of engineers coming together and deciding what will be our compass as engineers that will govern us, that will govern all of us. And this is what it is. It is the preamble. I'm going to put this website I'll post this website within Blackboard. But preamble, engineering is an important and learned profession. As members of this profession, engineers are expected to exhibit the highest standards of honesty and integrity. Engineering has a direct and vital impact on the quality of life for all people. Accordingly, the services provided by engineers require honesty, impartiality, fairness, and equity, and must be dedicated to the protection of the public health, safety, and welfare. Engineers must perform under a standard of professional behavior that requires adherence to the highest principles of ethical conduct. Yes, you're looking at this and you're saying, but isn't that still morals? Yes, absolutely. But it's not governed by how you grew up, because most of our morals are governed by how we grew up, what we saw as children. No, it's more or less governed by rules that has been put in place by professional engineers, such as fundamental canons, right? Engineers, in the fulfillment of their professional duty, shall hold paramount the safety, health, and welfare of the public. Perform services only in areas of their competence, right? So as an engineer, I can't perform or do things right? Outside of my discipline, if 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 I am not experienced in it. So if I got a mechanical engineering degree, and if I don't know anything about electrical or electrical engineering or circuits occurring and all of those things, I can't go over here and do something when it comes to electricity. Another thing I can't do is I can't go and do civil engineering with a mechanical engineering degree, right? That's performing services only in the areas of my competence. Issue public statements. Shall I, as an engineer, shall issue public statements only in an objective and truthful manner. In an objective and truthful manner. I can't issue public statements that has ambiguity, that leads up, that could sway somebody's opinion, or that gives a variation of a perspective. Right? I make a statement that this bridge could hold a certain amount of weight. It could hold a certain amount of weight. What do you mean it could hold? that's subjective. Well, subjective to from whose perspective? This bridge could hold a certain amount of weight based on how you did the calculations. No, I have to make an objective statement, an honest statement. This bridge can hold this amount of weight based on the calculations that I did. Period. And here are the strength of materials. These are the materials I use. You could go and fact check it. You could go and fact check it. Okay. These are canons that, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but these are canons, fundamental canons that engineers have to adhere to when it comes to making decisions. When you are designing something, you're designing a bridge, or you're designing a highway, you're designing a chemical, using chemicals to create a different material. These are canons you have to adhere to, right? And it even breaks down to rules of practice. So you have the first canon, hold paramount the safety and health and welfare of the public. So rules of practice, right? All right, the first bulletin is hold paramount the safety, health, and welfare of the public. All right. A bullet. If engineer's judgment is overruled under circumstances that endanger life or property, they shall notify their employer or client and such other authority as may be appropriate. So if you violate this, this safety and health of the public, this is what you must do, right? You must follow this practice. If an engineer's judgment is overruled under circumstances that endanger life or property, they shall notify their employer. You have to let someone know. It must be publicized. All right. Another one, the performance, a canon. Perform services only in the areas of their competence. So you scroll down. This is the canon, and this is the rule of practice. Engineers shall undertake assignments only when qualified by education or experience. And notice, I said I have a mechanical engineering degree. I can't go and do something for an electrical engineer does unless I have experience doing working in an electrical environment, working with electrical components, understanding how to design circuits. I have to have some understanding and knowledge proven. I can't just say it. I have to have proven knowledge and experience backing me so that I can actually do those jobs. Right. And so I have to follow these rules of practice. And these canons are very good to research, to look over, to get a really good understanding of, especially when I talked about professional engineering, especially when it comes to becoming a professional engineer. I actually had to take an exam for ethics to get my PE license. I haven't gotten it yet, but I did have to take this take this test on ethics. So this is really, really good website to come and just look over. You don't have to memorize it, but just keep it in your back pocket. Just for things to know and understand. So back to this book. I want to go over some examples of how to apply the code of ethics, right? So let's do let's do this and bring up my slides. Right, always do the right thing. Right, this will gratify some and astonish the rest. Mark Twain. We can always say that, right? Always do the right thing. But when you have some governing body over you, especially with a company, because that company is your governing body, and you don't want to get the company in trouble, otherwise you'll lose your job. And if you have a professional license and you kill someone or someone dies as a result of your design and you signed off on it or what have you, then you're responsible. You're held responsible. But let's look at an exercise, how to solve or resolve an issue of ethics, right? These are 4 decision-making procedures, right? You could identify the issue and stakeholders, analyze options from different perspectives, justify your choice by comparing results of analysis, carry through with your decision. That's 4 steps the book offers, but the way I suggest you doing it is measuring it according to the code of ethics, right? Measuring it according to the code of ethics. So when you have an issue when it comes to ethics, measured according to these 6 canons, measured according to these rules of practice, right? And so let's do an example of that. Here's an example. So if you have completed about half of homework assignment, but have run out of time to finish it, right? Your roommate who has the same assignment has gone to another class and has left his or her completed homework on the desk. Is it ethical to copy your roommate's homework, changing enough of the text, variable names, etc., so that it appears to be your own work, right? Is it ethical? Well, this should be easy, right? Because if you didn't have permission to copy your homework, copy your roommate's homework, then absolutely it's not ethical. And there's nothing you could definitively say outside of that. But if you're looking at the canons, where would this fall under? Would it fall under whole paramount to safety and health of the public? No, probably not. Probably not that one. What about perform services only in areas of your competence? It could be. Issue public statements. You're not issuing a statement, but it could be in a sense because you're turning in something that isn't yours. Act for each employer or client as faithful agents and trustees. Possibly, but not really for a company. Avoid deceptive acts. Yeah, it could fall under 5, right? Just think about rules and practice. So you go to rules and practice. The engineer shall avoid deceptive acts. Engineers shall not falsify their qualifications or permit misrepresentation of their or their associates' qualifications. They shall not misrepresent or exaggerate their responsibilities in or for the subject matter of prior assignments. They shall not misrepresent or exaggerate their responsibility in or for the subject matter of prior assignments, right? And that's given engineers shall not offer, give, solicit, or receive either directly or indirectly any contribution to influence the award of a contract by public authority. Now, this is probably the one it would fall under, right? Engineers shall avoid deceptive acts. That would probably be the rule of practice it would fall under, right? And that's how you would measure it. Let's do another example. Find one that's actually more technical. But just for the sake of it, we'll just go through this, and then we'll go back to another one and do another example. But for this particular one, it says identify the stakeholders, analyze the options from different perspectives. All right, identify the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders in this? Identify the issues and stakeholders. What are the issues? Who and what is affected? Maybe individuals, group, a natural system. Note that we are not asking how anyone is affected, only what the issues are and who might be affected. Well, who are the stakeholders? Well, what is a stakeholder? Your book defines a stakeholder. Bring that over here. Alrighty. So stakeholders right here. We will refer to the who as the stakeholder. Note that at this point, we are not trying to determine how stakeholders will be affected. We're only trying to determine who. The term stakeholder is who does not necessarily refer to the people, but might be an individual, a group of people, institution. Who will be affected? Well, number one, you will be affected, but the biggest one is your roommate. The roommate will be affected because if you turn in an assignment and you fudge some of the answers, but your professor catches you and realizes some of the answers that you may have gotten wrong, but what you recorded were very similar to your roommate's answers. And he decides to say, well, somebody cheated. And what if by some chance you changed your answers and the ones you changed to were correct and the ones he didn't change were incorrect? But he just figures out this, it just seems like two of you cheated. I had another class, my graphics course, I had a student turn in a drawing, and I had another student turn in a drawing, and both of those drawings had the same mistakes. And I don't know who cheated on who. So they both got the same grade, and they both got a failing grade because it appeared one of them cheated or both of them cheated. And so I had to fail both of them on that particular assignment. So it's, yes, the stakeholders who's affected, your roommate's affected, and you are also affected because you're affected because you cheated and caused them to get a bad grade, but then you're also getting a bad grade. All right. And so you start to analyze it that way. But that's really more difficult to me, but this is the way the book proposes how to analyze it. But the easiest way is for us to use the code of ethics. It's just so much easier. Go to another example. Well, let's just finish this example. Sorry. Who and what is affected? All right, went over that. Analyze options from different perspectives. Consequences, intent, character, right? Those are ways you can analyze this. Consequences and perspective, assumption, ethical value of individuals is equal. An assumption, the ethical value of the individual is equal. So you and your roommate have the same ethical value, right? That's one way. Would you want your roommate to do that to you? That's one way of looking at it. Question: does an action increase or decrease the happiness of the affected individuals? Right? Would that help? Would that help your roommate out? Does it increase or decrease the happiness? Would your roommate be happy about what happened? Just a different perspective. Right action. Right is good for most people. But right action. What would help benefit everybody? Right. But again, this is an easy one, but I'm harping on it and just giving you a way to look at it as far as those 4 steps. And then how do we decide? Right? You're going to decide, well, based on all of these things, different perspective, ethical value for putting it all together, more or less. And from there, make a decision. But the easiest way, again, is to go to the code of ethics. Go to the code of ethics, look at the canons, figure out where the decision can be made based on these canons. What an engineer shall do. Because this is more or less, you as a student, but I want you to look at it from the perspective of you as an engineer working for a company and how you would resolve certain issues from an engineering standpoint, not somebody taking the paper and seeing your roommate's paper and you take it. No, not that. So, but another example really quickly. See if I can find one. This is still example one. All right. Example two. This is something and I'm going to give you an assignment based on this, but something to consider. With your tune, consider the question. Is it ethical to violate the speed limit? All right. Sorry. It's not a scenario that I would want you to do. But for the sake of it, let's just go through it. Is it ethical for you to violate the speed limit, not including emergency scenarios? If there isn't an emergency scenario, is it ethical to violate the speed limit? What are the issues? Who are the stakeholders? Could be you as a driver, your passenger. It could be other drivers on the road. What is at stake for whom? Right? Could be an accident. Could be ticket. So money, finances are involved. So just things to think about, right? And so that won't be your assignment. I'll have a different one, and yeah, I'll put it on Blackboard. So thank you. That concludes chapter 2.